Good afternoon, Blues, and welcome back to another video, another episode of your Man City Daily News Show. Stephen here over on Esteemed Kompany on a lazy Sunday afternoon. Are you well? Are you good? Have you had a nice weekend? Do let me know in the live chat and in the comments below how you've been getting on this weekend. It's good to see you here if you are joining me live as well. I am sticking to this, as you probably noticed. I'm trying to do it. This is the fourth day in a row that I'm actually sticking to this. If you are new to this sort of series, I'm trying to do your little kind of snippet of a news show for you, 20 minutes to 30 minutes, unless something massive happens anyway, every single day, talking about all things Manchester City. I'll go through the news, talk about what's going on, talk about the rumours, hopefully some stronger rumours too, and just break it down a tiny bit with you guys, because this is your City Daily News Show. So please do me a huge favour immediately. Give the video a like if you want to see this. Also, let me know what you make of the new setup if you've seen it for the first time. I've sort of spruced things up a tiny bit. Graphics have changed. The looks changed in the office a little bit. It's a bit more City orientated, and I've got more things to come. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. Chris is enjoying it in the live chat. Hello to JT, Cal, Josh, CK, and Michael as well in the live chat. This is, of course, your show as well, where you chat to me. If you want to, let me know your comments. Of course, members, absolutely, yeah, super chats always appreciated, all the usual stuff, but give the video a like, and of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell so every single time I go live you do get a notification so you don't miss a live video. Cheers, Asan, mate. Cheers, thank you. I've just put LEDs in, basically. Asan's in the chat from Mr. 9320. Yeah, hit the bell for new notifications, and of course follow on all socials, Esteemed Kompany and Stephen McInerney over there. But there's plenty to talk about, man. Plenty to talk about today, so I'm gonna get into it in a second. Once again, subscribe. Let's go to the title of this video. I put as the title, Manchester City are favourites for Bruno. Can I just call him Bruno G? We got a sort of truce. Gallagher shots in the title. Look, there's a Newcastle fan channel here as well. Look, can we all be nice to our Geordie friends? You know, I'm a big fan of people from the Northeast, you know. We're all friends here. Don't blame me, Gallagher shots. Blame Scott Wilson. You know, Scott Wilson is the man responsible for this rumour. Bruno G, we're going to call him because I can't be bothered saying Guimareas, Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. Let's go to the rumours. It comes from Scott Wilson. As far as I know, it's Guimareas, says Josh. Bruno G. So Scott Wilson is, here's your description, the chief sports writer at the Northern Echo, focusing on coverage of Newcastle United, Middlesbrough and Sunderland. All thoughts and comments are my own, which is interesting, man. Like, honestly, Gallagher shots in the chat says you can get walking into the sea for all he cares. Well, there we go. But this is the article from... I always find it interesting, by the way. So if you want to look for a little bit of credibility, usually look at the local press. The local press... It's their job to know what's going on for Newcastle or for Manchester City or whatever, you know, when they're local. So they want to know what's going on. They try and keep up with the latest rumours. So you've got to sort of trust that their intentions are reasonably well sourced. Here's the article. The chief sports writer, Scott Wilson, said, Newcastle are growing increasingly concerned at the prospect of losing Bruno to Manchester City this month and regard the Premier League champions as a much likelier destination for the Brazilian midfielder than either Arsenal or PSG. Guimareas' future will be resolved before the end of the month, with his contract containing a release clause that enables clubs to complete a deal for the 26-year-old if they table 100 million by June the 30th. If a bid is received and Bruno decides he wants to move on, Newcastle will be powerless to retain one of their key performers from last season, with a South American who's currently on international duty preparing for the Copa America, having started all but one of their league matches last term. It goes on to say, basically, this is the bit where they do all the background, you know, to pad out the article and so on. It talks about how City need midfielders and the suggestions of Nunez not going to plan and Calvin Phillips moving on. This is interesting because it reminds you about the quotes from Guardiola about Bruno. He said, this is what Guardiola said in March. He's an exceptional holding midfielder. He's aggressive with the ball without, and he's a real complete holding midfielder. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I saw some quotes recently about Bruno saying... how, you know, he's happy at Newcastle, but he's obviously honoured to hear the interest in these big clubs. Well, Newcastle are big. Don't get me wrong. I think even the most ardent of Newcastle fans would admit, though, right now the level Man City are at is a little bit higher than Newcastle. With all due respect to them, you know, it's a different kettle of fish. And Look, I'm a massive fan of Bruno G. I think he's a phenomenal player. I actually think he's one of those guys who'd get even better and better and better, surrounded by great players, surrounded by the excellence that a Guardiola would bring, you know, a Rodri would teach him. The way that Rodri was a brilliant holding midfielder, but then became the best midfielder in the world and got better and better. Look, I think Bruno G's level is Gundogan. He's very, very, very best. I know that's a massive claim, but I think he's got a bit of magic to him. I think he's got a really dynamic, brilliant game. I really like him. I think he's a cracking footballer that would take a Manchester City in a heartbeat, you know? I know some people probably think he's not worth the money. I don't feel that way. He passes the eye test to me. He's easily Newcastle's best player, in my personal opinion. They've got Isaac and other quality players like Anthony Gordon, you know. But I think he's the heart of this team. He's the hub, and he's the special one there, like who's got Champions League high level quality. I really believe that. And the wonder, of course, of Bruno is that he's capable of playing in the 6 or 8 role. Reminds you of Gundogan, anyone? Of course, he's not Gundogan yet. He isn't. He hasn't got that ingenuity in front of goal. But he is a special footballer with loads of potential. And I think, to me, him alongside Rodri, with Foden doing his thing out in front of them, with De Bruyne there occasionally, I really like it. I really like it, you know? And someone said in the chat, Esteemed Jonah says, we really should be focusing on generational talents like Musiala. You got to bear in mind, no one said that about Fernandinho. No one said that about Rodri. You know, no one said that about Ruben Diaz. No one said that, you know, about someone else. Someone else who's done really well. Nathan Ake. No one said that about Kanji. You know, no one said about that Edison. These people weren't deemed generational, once-in-a-lifetime players. They just weren't. I remember people sort of discussing whether they were going to be good enough for Manchester City. Rodri was a very good player, but he was not seen as the best midfield in the world potential player. I think we could all admit that. Rodri came as an excellent signing with a cracking reputation, but no one was saying he was going to be the best player in the world, you know? So we look at players that could reach the level of you know, Gundogan or Rodri or whatever, people like that. People weren't even talking about De Bruyne as that level. They weren't. Everyone was saying, oh, he's going to be great, but no one was saying he's going to be the best player in the world in his role, and he was, in my opinion. So, look, I care about what they can do and how far they can improve. We get very attracted to these young players who seem to have the next tag of the next blah, 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 next whatever. And, you know, it's very, very encouraging, but sometimes you can ignore what's right in front of you. And players from the Premier League aren't always seen as that sexy because it's not a young wonder kid or whatever. But as Michael said in the chat right now, you know, his stats last season are surprisingly good. 8 goals and 7 assists for a deep line midfielder. That's very Rodri-esque. It's literally almost identical, you know. And I would not ignore that. He's 26 years old, by the way, which would be it's a really good age. It's a really good age, 26. I am massively behind the idea of this signing. Some people don't like it. Look, I've said a few times now with midfielders, I really, really feel like the eye test now is so important. Like, when I think about Manchester City players and midfielders, I think about genius technicians. Like, I think about a genius passer like De Bruyne, a genius pauser-led player like David Silva, or genius technical player like Bernardo Silva. Once again, a genius understanding of space and opportunism like Gundogan. I think we've dropped a little bit of that level recently. I think Kovacic is a cracking player. He's very good, but I wouldn't call him a genius. I wouldn't call Nunez a genius either, technically. I want players who just seem to make football look easy. To me, Bruno is not a genius yet, but does he have that same elegance that you associate with Manchester City player? I do see that. I see he's the kind of guy who's an 8 out of 10 that could very easily be a 9.5 out of 10 with Guardiola. His level of intelligence, game understanding. And I agree with B, by the way, in the chat, that Bruno is arguably better suited for City than Declan Rice. Absolutely. He's much more of a Manchester City player than Declan Rice is. Don't get me wrong, Declan Rice alongside Rodri would be great, tidying up as Rodri got forward a little bit more. But you could argue Bruno G could do the same thing. Those two alongside each other, as Chris just said as well, as a stat that Bruno is first in the league in winning tackles highest up the pitch, that is great, you know? So I am very much behind this idea of a transfer. I think he could be a really special player for Manchester City. I want to see it happen. This isn't going to be the longest video today. I'm going to move on to the next story. And a lot of these we're going to speculation station now. Some of you will get that reference. That's from a video game podcast that I watch. But either way, we're going to talk about rumours, you know. We're going to get on the hype train, all aboard the hype train, choo-choo and all that, you know. I should bring one of Ruben's little trains up and put it on screen every single time. We're going over to my mate, Tolmy. Some of you may know him from Twitter, some of you may not. But Tolmy is sincere. Doesn't mean he gets everything right, but I know he's sincere because I know him personally. You know, I know Asan, who's watching as well. He knows him personally too. You know, he's a sincere man. You know, so he's telling the truth with his information. Doesn't mean it's true. Oh, big old super chat there from MCFC. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's a wonderful donation. Thank you so much. MCFC says, let me go over here. Have I got that set up? Oh, that's not set up. 1 second. I've not been on this screen since I got the new camera sorted. There we go. Let me organize it a little bit better so it's on screen. Where are we going? Sorry. Is it coming on screen? There we go. MCFC said, big up Stephen, Bruno is a must. He's a caliber player that makes me super confident to win the Champions League. Always also look at the way he connects to the fans, very passionate. Does he think it goes through? I really like that, by the way. That's a very good point. I hope it goes through. I think it's likely. I think it's like 60-40, more likely than not likely. But I like that point. It's a really, 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 really good point. He's a smart player, a very likable player. The fans love him. I always think it's a good sign, by the way, when you sign a player that the fans absolutely adore. Bournemouth fans absolutely adored Nathan Ake. And he's cut from a very similar club personality-wise because they trust him, you know. And as MCFC said, you know, look, he's got that Champions League level quality, absolutely. It doesn't make us favourites to win it, but he absolutely helps us. And I massively agree, my friend. I hugely agree that it could be very much a smart signing, you know. I like it an awful lot. Yeah, a cracking player. Thank you for the super chat. But I'm going to go now over to my mate Tolmy with some rumours. One of the rumours about Eze is that Eberechi Eze now has a 60 million buyout figure inserted to his in his deal. That's 25 million less than City were quoted last summer. So you could get Eze for 60 million. Now, Toby has a habit of the dramatic, and he's got all these videos here, references, and as you can see, Easy Rock, and you got the Eagles song there. It's not hard to connect the dots. You got Eze in a title. You've got the Eagles, the band. Those are rumours, and I know this is sort of the rumours around Eze. Manchester City are allegedly thinking about Eze. Quick poll in the chat. I'm going to do a quick poll in the chat. Would you take Eze at City? There we go. So I've done a quick poll in the chat for you guys. Let me know what you reckon. Would you take Eze at City? I think he's a fantastic player. I don't fully know where he fits. I don't fully know the answers to that. If I was to be a betting man, if Eze joined Manchester City, he'd play on the right. I think they'd put him on there. I think they'd put him out there and sort of tell him to do you're a central midfielder, but you're playing out wide. Only if Bernardo leaves. Daniel's made a good point there. If Bernardo leaves, I think, but that's not going to happen, by the way. I think Bernardo's staying. I'm pretty confident he will stay. I'm a firm believer, by the way, that you can't have too many great players. You sort of can't. If Eze comes in, he's versatile, he's a smart footballer, he's ready to take that next step. He does have a bit of magic to his game. I'm all for these aggressive dribblers who can keep the ball. He's a cracking player. Of course, he has his injuries as well. You could argue Olise would be a better fit because we need more of a right winger, someone who's comfortable out there. But I guarantee you Pep would just put him out there in general. But I am very fine with the idea of Eze being a Manchester City player. Is he one that I necessarily am clamouring for? No. But for 60 million, if he came in, that's the rumours for the fee. Would I be upset? Absolutely not. Because I think he's a cracking player. He's not a necessity. You've got to consider, at times, it felt like, you know, we were on the cusp of a De Bruyne injury at any point. But of course now we know Foden has established himself centrally. We know Alvarez can play there as well. Can Eze play on the right, by the way, guys? What do you reckon? Can he play on the right? He sort of can. He's not an expert there, but he sort of can. He'd do a job in a Guardiola sense of cutting in and creating from out wide. It's one of those things where Asan made a good point, by the way. This is a very good point. My man Asan in the chat said Alvarez replacement if he goes. It's a cracking point, that. If Alvarez goes, if someone stumps up 70 million for Alvarez, I think City would accept that if Eze would come in with a £60 million release clause. It's a really smart change. Once again, by the way, 200 people watching, 37 likes. Yeah, come on, Blues. You can do better than that. Look, I can smell. I've left Ruben downstairs, with the wife as she makes a curry, and I'm up here doing videos, and I've only got 38 likes. Jeez, the things we do for you guys, you don't appreciate. I'm joking. Give the video a like anyway. But I think I think he's right. I think Asan's right there. Potential. I just, when you read something so you say it out loud. I wouldn't say potential average replacement, but I nearly said potential Japanese curry because Philip put that. What's a Japanese curry? I mean, katsu curry. I'd love a katsu curry right now, but we're making just a normal one. Have you realised, by the way, chippy curry, when you get a chippy, it's just katsu curry, isn't it? I only realised that in the past year or two. It's just katsu curry. The taste is exactly the same. Best curry taste in the world. But anyway. Spend 10 million to get Rodrigo. And look, Rodrigo, mate, is way more than... I presume you're on about like 70, 80 million. It'd be more than 100 million. That's what they'd ask for. 120 million Chivas has gone up to. I would take him in a heartbeat. I think he's a cracking player. I don't know what we're going to be playing, Victor, but here's my early prediction for next season is we're not going to be playing the inverted midfielder thing or whatever. I think we play a lot more traditional. I think the system changes. I think it does. But anyway, let's have a look at the poll. 75% of you think that you take him at Man City. Look, he's not my number one, but would I be disappointed if he came in? Nah, he's a cracking player with a little bit of magic. I also want to talk a little bit about the rumour above that, as you can see there. Phil Foden, where's it gone? According to Tolmy, Phil Foden is set to sign a new deal, which would take him to his 30th birthday and be worth £375,000 per week. Absolutely, absolutely deserved. He's up there now as one of the leaders in this team. He's our star player last season. Of course, winning individual awards. He scored 27 goals, or whatever it was, pushing 40 goal contributions last season. Absolutely absurd levels of quality from Phil Foden. And this would be a just reward for a man who's shown immense loyalty and immense dedication. And in my opinion, deserves this, and I think it'd push him on to be sort of a leader in this team. I've got no doubt this would be the next step that Phil Foden needs to focus and push on his game even further. I weirdly think some people, they're ready to take the next step and ready to trust themselves a little bit more by getting that new extension. It's Manchester City going, you've earned this, but you're a man now. You're not a boy, You're a man and you're part of this team. Take this step up. And yeah, I'd be buzzing to hear that news. I think it could happen this summer. Maybe we'll sign it when he gets back from the World Cup. I'd be very, very, very happy about that. By the way, look at that poll there in the chat. 74% and 25%. What's that? 1% missing from there. YouTube, get your maths sorted, lads. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, João Pedro, maybe. He's good. I don't love him, but he's good, Victor. I wouldn't say no. He's a good player. Jason said, if Rodri captain City, would that help his Ballon d'Or chances? I don't know, maybe. I think he's a midfielder, mate. I think it's simple as that. I think he'd have to win something with Spain, score the winning goal with Spain, then carry on. Look, he's plays for Man City and he's a midfielder. The chances are absolute minuscule, but you never know. Next season he could score 15 goals knowing Rodri, and that could catapult him to stardom anyway. But yeah, guys, it's just a very quick video before I go and have dinner with the family. I am sticking to this daily video thing. I think tomorrow the video will be around 10 a.m. I hope you're enjoying this new daily content. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to try and get through the whole of summer doing a daily video. Of course, every now and then it may be difficult. Like next week, for example, next weekend it's Father's Day. I'm going camping. So it might be that I don't do a live video. I do a quick video on my phone and send it over to you. I'm going camping with the family, so it might be hard to do for then. But for now, though, thank you for watching. You're all superstars. Do you want to see City sign Bruno Guimaraes? Let me know in the chat. What do you make of the Eze rumours and Phil Foden contract rumours? Give the video a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you tomorrow for another video in a bit. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.